this actually wasn't part of my 12-month teaching classes. For those that don't know, we rent, but we are on a well, which was amazing until this summer. Thank you. We had well issues this summer to where we were going at least 1 to 2 days without water, sometimes 3, 4, 5, 6 days without water. And I can keep humans alive. I could not keep my animals alive. And that was just the cold hard fact that we learned this year of how important water storage is. We have some water barrels. We did not have these. I had some water jugs, but that was it. And until you lose water, you don't think, oh yeah, I just need it for drinking. No, you need it for cooking, you need it for bathing, you need it for animals. If you're growing your own food, you now need it for gardening. Water is so much more than just drinking. And when you have to go buy 1-gallon jugs at the store, you are filling up grocery carts and grocery carts. My cows will drink no less than 10 gallons per cow per day. So when I'm having to truck in water to feed and water just animals, not humans, bathing, flushing toilets, we're talking hundreds of gallons of water a day. We learned real quick how important water storage is. Now I'm going to talk about the facts on an agriculture standpoint of how bad we are with water right now. There are no less than 19 states in a drought right now. We are in the worst drought we've been in since at least 1895. We can get into the CDC and all their fun information they put out, but when they come to at least agriculture standpoints, they're spot on. The rest of the world, not so much, but that's that could be another class. So this is just to show you, if you can see, and you can come up afterwards. This is just our water. And this is from 1895 to 2021. And 2021 supersedes everything that the United States has been through.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is that talking about our aquifer, or is that talking about our reservoirs?
Everything.
So everything together?
All inclusive.
The amount of precipitation.
Yeah. That includes the amount of rainfall we get, what's in our reservoirs, what's in the lakes.
What about the aquifer?
That's low too.
Yeah.
That's the lowest it's been. So this is not facts. This is just conversations that people have had. I have a really good friend who is an HOA president out in Florence. By HOA, he is in charge of irrigation. So he talks with all of the irrigation gurus in the state of Arizona. This is not facts, okay? This is just what they are talking about. But this at least gives you an idea of where we're going next year. They are talking about cutting off, at least limiting to cutting off water to parts of Florence and Coolidge next year. That affects our farmers, that affects our ranchers. That does affect housing developments, but it's our farmers and ranchers pulling out of the aquifers. And they are highly discussing limiting and stopping those. If they do that, it is a downfall. Now, the state of Arizona only produces so many things. We can't grow a lot of things. Cotton is one of our big ones. Corn is one of our big ones. Cattle is one of our big ones. Those are our top 3 we produce here in Arizona. We don't grow wheat, baby girl. Yeah. Down in Yuma, we grow a lot of produce. Lots of produce. You start limiting our water, you're gonna start limiting the food. Now, Arizona ships out a lot of our produce to other states. We don't keep it all. But imagine what happens as soon as you start limiting water, what is going to happen for future food resources. Then we start talking animals. Cattle prices are the lowest they've been in a very long time because farmers can't afford water or they're being limited on their water. Well, now what does that do to our food prices? We have Hickman Farms here. It takes a lot of water to water chickens, believe it or not. What happens when you start limiting water? Our food supply is going to go down. So there's lots of aspects we can cover on water supply. I'll be 100% honest with you, and it's not good. Our future does not look good unless we can either get more rain, fill up more reservoirs, fill up the aquifers. Like there is no answer unless we get more rain. This is what we've looked like just in the last 20 years. Now the different colors will tell you the different droughts and how bad our droughts are. But Arizona, the state of Arizona has been in the worst drought, and we just can't get out, okay? I mean, there are so many things I could have printed out, hundreds and hundreds of pages. More information. The western United States is in a massive drought. East Coast is doing a little better, but they're dealing with a lot of other issues. The state of California produces most of our produce here in this United States. They produce a good portion, and they are in the worst drought they've ever seen. I mean, this is just Arizona. I mean, I spent hours, it was a rabbit hole I went in. I mean, just thing after thing of facts of what is going on with our water. So I found this interesting. A drought is an event of prolonged shortages in the water supply, whether atmospheric, surface water, or groundwater. A drought can last for months or years, or may be declared after as few as 15 days. It can have substantial impact on the ecosystem and agriculture of the affected region and harm to the economy. Annual dry seasons in the tropics significantly increase the chance of a drought developing and subsequent bushfires, which we've seen. Half of the state of California right now is on fire because of this. Periods of heat can significantly worsen drought conditions by hastening evaporation of water vapor. We could go on and on. So what does this mean to you? Get your crap together. Get some water barrels.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I don't need an echo today, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna be honest, most of your paperwork came from the CDC. Again, we can go rounds and rounds. There's a lot of things I don't agree with on the CDC. That's a different class. When it comes to water, the CDC does a lot of research. This, they do know, okay? And it was much easier for me to copy and paste this than a blog person, and I gotta go in and edit. So, all your papers are coming from the CDC. Now I'll be honest, when it comes to water storage, you gotta be frugal, you gotta be creative, you gotta think outside the box. Because ideally, yes, go get some water barrels and set it there. Well, now what? What do I do with it? How do I move it? Your water barrel, a 55-gallon drum water barrel, weighs over 400 pounds. How are you gonna move that? I have my water barrels over there filled. My animals are over there. There's a problem. Try moving 500 pounds with 5 kids by yourself. It doesn't work. I tried. Even me and a neighbor could not move it. So we got, those cheap little plastic pumps that you pump the top and it brings it out and shoots water out. We were carrying gallon jugs, 5-gallon jugs at a time to fill up water containers. Again, when one cow drinks over 10 gallons a day and you're only carrying 1 to 5 gallons at a time, I spent a lot of days out here in the summer. I got a I'm working on my farmer's tan real well. I even got like a neckline. It looks really nice when I go to church.
1 gallon of water weighs 8 pounds.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to figure out how much something weighs, it's a lot.
It weighs a lot. And even the kids, after a couple hours, and we're talking hours. I had 5 kids carrying gallon jugs, and I was carrying 5-gallon jugs. And we came out every hour to do this. It's a lot. That doesn't even include flushing toilets. That was the worst. So, this is going to help you think outside the box. We're gonna cover everything. So first you've got to create your storage. What does that look like to you? This is going to look different to every person. Some people prefer the 1 gallon jugs. Some people prefer water bottles. Some people prefer 2-liter bottles. This looks different to everybody. It all depends on your storage. What does your storage look like? Where are you going to put your water? Are you going to put some water inside? Are you going to put some water outside? Are you going to do both? So you have to think of what is going to be best for you. Growing up, my mom and dad did 2-liter bottles. We'd go get some 7-Up bottles, clean them out, fill it with water. That's still in my parents' house. That's what we grew up on. They have stackable, like 1 gallon containers you can buy, and they're little cubes, and you can stack them. I mean, there's so many more possibilities now, but this is where you have to do your own research and figure out what is best for you and your family. Where are you going to put your water? Are you going to store drinking water? Are you going to store just cleaning water? This is my cleaning of my animals. I got these super cheap. They're not food grade, but for animals, cleaning, washing, pooping, this works great. I don't need 500 of these to wash with. When I just need regular water, I just need water. It doesn't matter what it looks like, unless I'm watering animals. You know, you gotta water your garden. What are you gonna do? How are you gonna transport water? That's another thing. You can store all the things you want. How are you getting it out now? How are you getting it to where it's got to go? So everywhere is pretty much the same. They all suggest between 1 to 3 gallons per person per day. They say have at least 14 gallons per person for a 2-week period. Think about that. Could you live off of 14 gallons per person for 2 weeks?
Is that for drinking only or for everything?
Yeah, if you don't
That's the
everything.
thing. I think it's just
the
drinking water.
Just
Yeah.
drinking
Because
water.
in our 4 to 5 days of just trying to cook and take baby wipe showers, we were going through more than 14 gallons per person in a couple days. So I think they suggest amounts. So A, you don't get overwhelmed, and B, nobody's got room for 500 of these to store water, the sufficient amount of water we need. You never know what's going to happen. We could have an emergency like Texas had this year, where they had power outages. Okay, that's another thing. We lost our power several times. My well runs off electric. Then I had no power again. So you got to think outside the box, and I would never suggest anyone experience what we did, but
Shohni, did you ever research about solar power or something for the?
yes.
Is that not?
Unfortunately,
feasible?
because we rent,
Oh,
I won't ever put a dime into his
okay.
rig. I've got great plans for my future. I just need money. But yes, that would be the way to go is solar. It really would.
Do you give classes on that or?
I have actually been looking into it to find, I have a few people that we can have solar classes for, even just for little things, because I think solar in short-term emergencies, I mean, just to power up refrigerators or freezers, I think would be a good idea. Because nobody wants to lose hundreds of dollars of food in fridges and freezers, so that's on the agenda. I just gotta find a few more people to help teach it, because my research goes as far as Google. So, yeah,
We rent also, but we have solar panels that charge my husband's longboard. And we have solar panels on our
Longboard.
travel trailers too.
see, there's,
So the question is how do you use solar that's attached to your house so that you're not still dependent on SRP?
you have to have batteries.
Yeah, you have to,
Exactly.
and that's where it's
Right.
super expensive.
And that's the hard part, is
Yep.
it's not so much necessarily getting the solar power, but how to
Store it.
store it. How to store your solar power.
Yeah. No,
That's what we need to find out.
see, I don't know if you guys know, I am a worst case scenario. I am planning for the zombies to come, to be living off grid like a pioneer out in the middle of nowhere. Like, that is my
Oh.
worst case scenario. So when everything else happens, everything else is a breeze to me. So first you got to figure out how you're going to store it, what you want to store it in. That's the hardest part. Got to fill them up, okay? So you fill up the water tanks. Things you need to have. I'm sorry. I was really hoping the sun. The rain clouds are very promising today. So you've got to find containers to store them in. Things you need to watch out for is how are they sealed? Because containers are fine to be stored in, but you got to make sure nothing gets in it. That is how it keeps the water fresh. So you need airtight sealed containers like this rink-a-dink. I don't even know. It's all sorts of janky and zip tied on. That's not going to keep my water fresh. So you've got to.
Why won't it keep it fresh?
Because that lid, it doesn't have one of those seals in it. That's really going to help. The rubber seal on the inside. But it's metal and it's all torn up. So you just need, when you get them, you just got to make sure, okay, is it secure? Like this one this doesn't have to have a lid because this has a valve. But you just need to inspect it. Is there holes? Is there cracks? Common sense, you got to look for it. There's ideas on here of containers and do not use containers. Just got to be smart.
When you say it's airtight, watertight, does that mean you can store it outside at every time?
I would put a tarp over it just because you're going to get sun rot from the plastic,
Yep.
but it will be fine outside.
Okay.
That's why they suggest blue.
The darker the colors.
The darker the color, the less damage it'll take from the sun.
Okay.
These only last so long because they're white. For the price I paid, if it gets me 10 years, I'm great. But those
10 years is still a long time.
10 years is still a long time.
Let's hope second coming comes before that.
But if you cover those with a tarp, then you're going to preserve.
Yeah, and you could just get regular tarps. They have specially made water storage tarps and covers. I mean, you can get real fancy like if you want. I'm kind of white trash, so we just throw tarps, regular tarps, Walmart tarps.
I got lots of tarps. Just
See,
rotting in my garage, so.
and honestly,
Ooh, I have a question.
oh,
That's how we get your attention.
Hey, when it's your sister, you throw stuff.
I got a big middle finger for it. Just kidding. So that you can get all fancy. There's so many ways to store water. They say don't store your water on the ground, or at least don't store it on concrete. I'll be honest, I don't have time to go find fancy pellets to put them. I just don't. That's why I do like these, for at least what these are used for. And you can, by the way, you can get food grade buckets like this for drinking water. I just chose to get them for my animals.
What's your question? Can you paint it? Like the barrel?
You can, but it's going to seep through the plastic. And that's why they also don't
What was
suggest
your
it.
question?
Can you paint these to be dark? You can, but plastic absorbs things through it, and that's why they also don't suggest storing it on concrete. I don't know about dirt, but
So what's wrong with concrete?
You're not
It
supposed to
leaches
put it on
through.
dirt either.
The concrete does?
Yeah, so does dirt. You're
yeah,
not supposed to put them on dirt either.
you're not. You're supposed to store water off the ground.
Even if you just put it on like a piece of plywood, just put all your, it just
Okay.
shouldn't be on.
This doesn't have to be uniform too.
Yeah,
Just like, can you just use like wood planks like that?
yeah.
Yep.
Just,
They'll probably rot underneath it, but.
We've had people just put a piece of plywood down and just set it on it.
Put it on a pallet.
It just needs something in between the ground and the barrel.
I got lots of wood.
But I'm here to say I have not died, and I've drank water out of my barrels and they're on the ground, so I may have some worms, but I haven't died. So there's a few ways you can get your water safe, and this is important whether you are using barrels or whether you're out foraging for water. Obviously, there's filters, okay? There's different, I can't find my filters. They're somewhere in a box somewhere. They've got the, what are they, cat,
Faded in or something.
yeah,
like that.
something like that. Fancy filters. You can get life straws. There's so many water filters you can get that, honestly, life straw's the easiest. That's all you gotta do. We have one, it's like a pump and it, we'll probably use it when the zombies come, but that's about it. It's too high tech for me. So this is gonna talk about different ways. Boiling. There's ways if the water is cloudy, if it's clear. If you can boil your water, whether on your stove, over an open fire, boiling is the easiest, the quickest, the cheapest way. You can get any water pretty much, boil it, run it through a filter. Like I've seen a lot of people store coffee filters, and after that, I've had people boil water and then strain it through a coffee filter, just as a precaution. You can do those kind of things. Disinfectants. There are several disinfectants that I did not know. I always thought just bleach. A lot of people suggest pouring bleach in your water because that'll help keep it clean and fresh. You're supposed to rotate your water every 6 months to a year.
Really?
Yeah.
What a pain.
Just stagnant water is susceptible to more, germs, bacteria. Probably could. Yeah. I mean, we're not the best with that. Mainly because I'm not gonna change out a couple thousand gallons every 6 months. But we do try to do it once a year. Now, I'll be honest, we used to just dump. Just roll the barrel over and let it flood. Kids would have a heyday. We've gotten creative over the years, so we use it for things now, but there's things you can do. So anyways, disinfectants. You can use bleach. Make sure it's non-scented. There are specific kinds of bleach to use. They have like chlorine tablets that you can use to put in those. There's so many things and options now with water. If you Google it, if you don't like the bleach idea, Google it. We do bleach just because it's right there, it's right there. I don't even have to wait for Amazon.
Is iodine still, I mean, that's what we've done in the past, we use iodine. Is that not?
I've never heard of that, but
Really?
good. Really?
Wait, what was it?
Peroxide.
Oh.
Oh, really?
That's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, that's awesome. There's bleach, there's those, there's tablets. They make, like, you can buy specific tablets and say I have 55-gallon drum, and they make the exact tablet that you just put in each container. I mean, you can get all fancy if you want.
No,
But-
it wouldn't be like you throw in the pool, right? Kind of tablet.
No.
No.
Well, I mean, they look similar.
But
They're
that's
just
not-
little tablets,
Don't do that.
but don't use the pool chlorine
Yeah.
tablets.
It's called tincture iodine, and that's what we have.
Really?
Yeah, because that's what I thought you used. I didn't even know you could use bleach, so
Huh.
it's amazing.
People take iodine tablets when they go hiking. And
Yeah.
stuff like that.
I'd say iodine's used for so many things. I'm not surprised
And
by
that's, I
that.
think, why we have it in our food storage is because it's, I don't know. I do what my mom tells me.
I do too.
Anyone else like that? Just do what your mom tells you.
The old wives' tale.
My mom tells me not to have cows, so I don't really listen to my mom anymore.
I do it, Shawnee.
I do what Shawnee tells me. That's awesome.
Shawnee's my mom.
So, quick question on when you're like, rotating out your water.
Yep.
How can you get that water from animals?
So that's the thing. After this summer, we've become very creative with what we do. Like I said, we used to just dump it over, let the kids play. We now, and this has been my goal once I get the rest of these filled, is once a month. Some of these have hose spigots, like this one's got a spigot I can put a hose attachment on, or I could just use a pump. They do sell electric pumps that you can, I mean, you gotta have a Milwaukee battery, but you stick the hose in, you switch the button, and it pumps it out for you. But my plan is once a month using 1 barrel, whether that's filling up water, gardening, whatever it is. If it, and I haven't quite figured out how I'm gonna do it, but I'm going to somehow label my barrels as to when I did it last, or number them and then keep a record, so that, okay, this month I'm taking this barrel and I'm gonna use that to put water in animals, or to water garden, or to whatever. Fill kids' water bottles and make Kool-Aid. But that's my 1 barrel I'm going to use this month, and then I'll fill it up. And so that's how, that is my going forward plan of how I'm going to rotate it. Every month I'm going to pick a barrel, use it till it's gone, fill it up. Next month, go to my next barrel. That way it's not just a, oh, I got 1,000 gallons of water, what do I do now? So that's my idea. We'll see my follow through. So on this page, it's gonna tell you the different, on the back of the second page, it'll tell you the amounts to put in there, because there are specific amounts. You don't want too much of bleach in your water. And there is guidelines. Some of them, like bleach, you have to wait at least 30 minutes after pouring bleach so you can use the water. I don't know about the tablets, but you just, whatever you decide to do, just make sure you look at it. So then there's different filters, and it talks a little about filters.
And even if you're using it after that initial 30 minutes, like the next month or whatever, and it still smells or tastes like bleach, just aerate your water, and
Yep.
it will get that smell out, and then it won't be,
Won't be so bad.
yeah.
Yep.
Just pour it back and forth between 2 pitchers, and it'll aerate it.
Yeah.
It does talk about iodine.
Does it?
Yeah.
You can tell I didn't read
Oh, it
this.
does.
It's not recommended for pregnant women or people with thyroid issues.
Right.
With what issue?
Thyroid.
Oh.
But I like it better than the iodine, better than bleach, because you can buy iodine tablets that are really tiny, and you can use it for cuts, wounds, cleaning.
I'd say there's a lot more uses for iodine.
Yeah. I mean, you can use bleach for all those things, but maybe not for wounds.
Okay, let me pour some bleach on your open wound.
It's just a flesh wound.
So now this is what happens. This is how you're going to use your home storage. What happens between now and when you get your water? Or what happens if you run out of water and something happens to our water supply? I am your worst case scenario, but I don't trust our water supply. And this could be a whole nother topic. I don't, after living with this issue this summer, I try not to depend on, whether it's the government, the world, whatever, to supply my water, to supply my electric, because I've had both go out and we're pooping outside. What's up, sis? Go find daddy. So, you don't have your water, or you have your water and now it's all gone. Now what? Well, you need to find a water source. Don't come to me. Just kidding.
Come
I-
to your neighbor's
I have no plans on being here, so you can come look for me, but you'll find the other people. You'll find the zombies, yeah. They're probably as nice as zombies too. So you've got to figure out where to find water. Obviously, rivers, streams, natural ponds. But how many other people are going to be there? So again, you've got to think outside the box. These classes aren't necessarily to get you thinking, oh, I need this and then I'm good. No, what's next? This only lasts so long. It only lasts as many barrels as you have. What's next? What is your next game plan? Where are you going to find water? Something could happen at one of our plants and our water's out. And it's not, oh, well, I'm just gonna go to the neighbors. No, now you've got to go find water. Grocery stores are only gonna have water for so long. What's your game plan? How are you taking care of your family? I can't tell you where to go or what to do, but in the drought we're in, you've got to have a backup plan. In Arizona, no matter what you do, whether it's food, water, shelter, anything, you always have to have a backup plan, because plan A, I'll tell you, never works out. You're always on plan X, Y, or Z. So there's other options for water. Rainwater. We're going to talk about this for a second. I've been told by so many people it's illegal in the state of Arizona to collect rainwater. And
It's not an Arizona.
I know. That's false. But I have had several people go, oh, no, it's illegal. It is not. So just in case any of you thought it was, it is not. I have a friend who lives just a couple streets over that during Noah's flood this summer collected rainwater. All she did was keep her barrel outside. That's it. You know how many barrels she caught? 3. Now granted, we got a lot of rain this summer. She didn't have no fancy catchment, nothing. She just put pots and pans outside, and granted she had more than just her barrel. She had pots and pans where it would leak off on the roof or wherever, where she could catch the most, and she'd go dump it in barrels. That's all she did. She had no fancy equipment. She caught enough to fill 3 55-gallon drums. There are things you can do. You can set up around your house perimeter to run into the thing. You can set up tarps. I mean, in Arizona we don't get much rain, so you're kind of limited. But that is a source of free water. 1 extra gallon, 55-gallon drum's gonna last you that much longer. So being creative, thinking outside the box, how am I gonna get more water? Take advantage of what we get, because we don't get it often. So this is gonna go through different ways to collect rainwater, different ideas.
Now, can I ask you, with that kind of water, would you be able to drink something like that, like into, because if you're getting it off your roof,
Yep.
are you gonna just kind of filter it in oil and then you can use it?
I'll be 100% honest, I've not done enough research to know. My assumption would be I could boil it. Would be my worst case scenario. If I had nothing and I could boil it, I'm probably gonna drink it, take my chances. But I also have animals that drink a lot more than me, so I would probably use it for them first, or bathing the hoodlums. So this is where Shohni kind of squirrels off into my zombie. I'm preparing for zombies. So it's going to talk about cisterns and other rain catchment systems, how to clean them, how to disinfect them. It gives you amounts on the back. This is where I was having fun. I told my husband I needed a portable water truck. He thought I was crazy. I thought it was a great idea. I even put in your thing how to clean a portable water truck in case y'all want to get one. It is step by step, 2 pages on how to do it. Yeah. I'm like, what? I've watched enough like end of the world shows where I'm like, we should get a milk tank, because then I can get in there, I can clean it, and then we can fill the milk tank with water. He didn't think that was fun either. So then at the end, there's just some pages. A little bit easier than all that. How to make your water safe. Now this talks about water cisterns. You can use the same type of information, maybe less bleach, obviously, but it just talks about how to clean everything. I buy most of my barrels used because it's half the price. Best way to clean it, get a pressure washer. Don't have a pressure washer? Go to car wash. Use somebody else's water. Soap and water, Dawn dish soap, works the best. Throw some in there, put some water in. We've even filled it up a little ways with water and bleach and soap, and I make my kids, with the lids on, run it up and back the road. Make a game out of it. Have them roll it around, get it clean, dump it out, spray it out. Do that a few times. Let them roll it around. Get that water in there moving. There's so many ways that this becomes a family situation. This is not just a husband, a wife, or a mom situation, or a dad situation. This is a family situation. Include your kids, include your spouses, include your siblings, your grandparents, your parents, whoever you want to, but include somebody else, because guaranteed, that water is not just going to help your family. Unless you're me. It only's gonna help my family. Just kidding. But really, that's the cold hard truth. Include others. Because guaranteed, we're gonna have to pull together. It takes a community to survive. And in my worst case scenario, we're gonna need a community to survive. Do a family night out of it. Grab a couple neighbors. Hey, let's go in on some barrels. Everyone buy your barrels, come together, we're gonna fill up, run it around, have relay races with your kids. We've done that before. Having relay races with the neighbors. Do you take some? Yeah. And just so you know, I've had my come to Jesus moment. Well,
No.
I promised
Information.
Heavenly Father I would share if XYZ happened. And I will stick to that, but you gotta find me first.
That's why we're gonna chip you.
Maybe I've already been chipped. Just kidding. Any questions about water storage? There are tons of books, resources. These are really cool. If you want to know about rainwater catching, this is your go-to. How to build, how to dig. These two, I think there might be a third book.
Is it necessary to get all three, or are you gonna pretty much get the information you need from book one?
You want to know the truth? Those aren't even mine. Someone lent me those, and I'm only like yay deep. I don't know what the other book talks about, that one. But I'm already like, well, I couldn't have enough books. So I don't know, maybe start with one.
Right? I have one and I haven't even flipped through it
I was
yet.
like,
don't
if you
have
read
time.
one, then go to two. But get one.
Johnny, just a fun side note, when they were doing the renovations on the Mesa Temple, all of those big lawns now have cisterns underneath them.
Yeah.
So the church dug them all down and put that water collection there to keep.
Yeah. I'll tell you, the church is smart, and they're doing things to prepare for what's to come. They may not tell us what's to come, and whether you believe this or not, but I truly believe, my belief, maybe this is because I'm, again, worst case scenario, this normal life is not always going to be normal. Will I live to see the Savior come? I don't know. But I'm going to try my damnedest to get my kids prepared, because I tell you what, you look at what we've lost from generation to generation and the knowledge just on food storage. I'm in this position. My parents have their food storage. And she'll back me up on this. I've maybe seen my mom pull weed out when somebody wants cracked wheat cereal, maybe 5 times in my 36 years, maybe. I mean, my parents have it together. Well, do they use it? I don't know. It's not my stomachs. But there's a lot of things that are lost over generations. Knowledge. And a lot of what forced me into food storage, agriculture, is because I like food. I don't want to go hungry. And I will never let my kids starve. And so why I do what I do and why I store what I store is because I will never let my kids starve. My kids can tell you how to grind wheat. My kids can tell you how to use wheat. My kids can tell you how to take the wheat from a 50-pound sack and put it in a bucket. Because my personal goal in my life is to make sure my kids don't skip that generation of knowledge. I want my kids to be resourceful. I want my kids to know how to use things, and I want my kids to think outside the box. We had to do a lot of thinking outside the box this summer when power went out, and it's 100 degrees, 120 degrees outside, or even 100 degrees at night. What are we gonna do? we had to be resourceful. We would go days without water. We had to get very creative. And when it's just me and 5 kids at home and my husband's working, I had to get very creative. And you have to make games out of things. Water storage is one of the easiest things you could do. Easiest thing you could teach anybody. Yes, clean it out, fill it with a hose. Make it fun. Involve other people. Because I guarantee you, none of my neighbors have water storage. I can 100% tell you. Not one down this street. I mean, we are spaced out. 4 people on that street have water storage. And that is it. There's over 20, 30 homes here. What as a community are we going to do to make our community better? Because there's going to come a day where we have to live off our water storage. Even if it's only for a short time, we're going to have to do it. The Lord doesn't tell a prophet to tell us to get our act together and get water and food if we're not going to have to use it. Figure out now how to use it, whether that's getting hand pumps, electric pumps, whatever that looks like to you. You've got to figure out for your family what are you going to do to disinfect it? Are you going to use filters? Are you going to use bleach, iodine? That's up to you. Have a family meeting. Sit down with kids. Teach them. But this is of all your food storage crap that I'm throwing at you this year, this is going to be your easiest thing to use, rotate, and store. Any questions? I've got to make some phone calls. So I haven't ordered them yet. Yeah, last time I called the guy, he was about $55 and then a delivery fee. Of course, you know, I got these, what did we get them? A couple months back?
Yeah,
And they were 50 and they're up to 55. These are non-food grade though. The food grade ones were what, like 100?
100 at minimum.
Yeah. Yep.
Can you repeat what you said?
She wants to know if my wheat farmer's coming back. I have not actually called them. Because they were supposed to come in September. And I'll be honest, last time I talked to her, she did sound hopeful. Because they're in a really bad drought. Now drought is good for wheat. I need to call her and see if they're coming. That is on my list of things to do this week. Travis is mad because he's like, don't get more wheat. He's like, if they come, I know you'll buy more wheat. So I've kind of pushed it off. Yep.
So I know you said that, well, let's talk about how you're moving it around.
Yep.
How are you?
So
You only move them when they're empty.
Your animals are on that side, right?
yeah.
It doesn't really matter. Like,
So I've got 2 plans. My initial plan is my barrels. I'm strategically putting barrels where I know I'll need them by animals. These are nice because we can stack them. I don't know how well they'll hold stacked, but theoretically they should be able to stack. So we're putting these out by animals. Now I will say we have moved a 55-gallon drum. You just gotta have a big enough dolly and a couple people, and you can move it. Because my get out of Dodge plan is getting a barrel on top of a flatbed trailer. So those are movable. These will not move.
So that's what was the other question, like, were you putting them on the spot and then taking the hose over there?
Yep.
Is that how you're doing it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, just a 55-gallon drum weighs over 400 pounds.
Without the water?
With the water. So a 55-gallon drum with water weighs over 400 pounds.
You can roll them around.
Yeah. Those are movable. If you get those refrigerator dollies and they're big and strong and it's got the ratchet strap on it, you can move it. But they're hard to move.
yeah.
So I don't suggest moving it, but it can be done. This, once you fill it,
You have to have a forklift.
I say you have to have a forklift for this thing. And even then, that's,
still worth it.
yeah, that's a
You're
couple
gonna,
thousand
you're gonna
pounds.
put it where you want it, and then you're gonna put the hose to fill it up.
Yep. Yep. And again, my food storage, whether water or food, is not Pinterest picturesque. I mean, I live the farmhouse decor, but not your Hobby Lobby farmhouse. Like, I look like a mass hoarder.
You're legit.
A working farmhouse.
I look like a
Not a magazine farmhouse.
dumpster hoarder. That's rude. She said I look like my dad. I have more organization skills than my father.
So with the water barrels, you can build a rack and you can have them 2 or 3 high, so they're laying sideways, and you can get a spigot that will fit in the valve. So you can do that yourself. You can buy the hose attachment head at Home Depot and cut it and put it in there.
Yep.
If you don't want to do it yourself, there's a place in AJ called Tank and Barrel, and they will fit your spigots to your drums for you.
If you want to just go pick up water barrels without doing research,
Tank and Barrel is the best.
Tank and Barrel is your best option. They're Ironwood and Baseline Guadalupe.
Yeah. And the
Over
guy's
there.
super nice.
Yeah.
He'll talk to you forever about whatever you want.
Uh-huh. Tank and Barrel.
So would they sell the spigot there?
They
Yes.
sell
Barrel
Yeah.
to them?
all sorts of
It's
All different
Guadalupe.
size
sizes.
container. I mean, even to the big ones, they
They'll
sell
have
the big ones.
the big like
My water bottle.
big
or
farm like tanks that are like
Do they have the
1,000
rack, the
gallons.
little spigot in there for
I don't
me?
know if they sell the racks or not.
What was that?
I don't know
I
about
can
that.
take my blue barrel and buy a spigot
I
off
know
the
you want to do
Yeah,
that, but
they
they're not
sell
hard
the
to
spigots,
make.
they sell the lids,
Build them.
everything that
Oh, yeah.
has to do with water barrels, they sell it.
Do they sell the spigot?
They do.
That's not where you're getting them.
No,
Yeah, wood just
I
disintegrates.
found
You just
someone
throw it
slightly
away.
cheaper.
What?
Wood is
Yeah.
Yeah,
It doesn't have longevity.
yes,
I mean, you can do
Yeah,
it
that's
with
what you're
like
saying, you're
metal,
trying to figure out
like racking.
yeah.
Wood metal.
I've got a few people that has them that will bring them
Foam,
to
a
me.
carpet piece or something.
Most everybody is in the West Valley.
Like 4 of them.
Has anybody had a good experience with those racks that hold them sideways?
That didn't
'Cause
fall
I had-
apart.
Mine are on them and they've been fine.
They've been fine.
They
'Cause
do.
when I bought them from Steak Preparedness, whatever, in like Y2K, you know, and they were we lived in that house for 16 years. I put the barrels on them, put the spigots in them, never filled them with water the whole time. I moved my empty barrels off of them and they just like disintegrated, the wood. So I was like, well, crap, if I would have had water in them, how many years ago would my barrels have like fallen off and rolled down the street? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know if anybody knows of a resource where we could get metal ones or something that lasts longer than wood.
I think you guys have some, don't you?
Yours are wood, aren't they? Jason?
Yeah, they're wood, but they've been,
Yours are
well,
in
they
your
were
garage.
outside for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
see,
old.
I have to keep mine outside. I don't
Mine
know.
are outside.
But we have them in the
They're
garage
in the
now,
garage.
but they've worked fine. I mean, they do get weathered. I don't know if did you have termites that were like?
No,
You need to paint them probably with some.
we painted them. We
painted them.
painted them to
We
match
sealed
the
them,
house.
yeah, we
We did
sealed
all
them.
the things except
Maybe-
fill them.
Maybe covering them.
The
whole main-
Did you just paint them or did you do like a deck seal?
I don't know. I think we just painted them with the house paint.
Yep.
Yeah, we
How long
painted
do
with
they last
paint.
out?
Like if you
Ours.
do
Like,
like
not
a deck
outside,
seal,
but
that's
in your
gonna seal your
garage.
wood
That,
longer too.
okay, so when it comes to water bottles, if you're gonna store them for long-term
They
storage,
will collapse.
there's
Not
two
long-term,
things.
we rotate them, so, but my question is like, it takes us, you know, like, if they're out there for 6 months in the heat, but we're still rotating them all the
I
time.
think you'd be fine.
So
You're
that's
okay?
one thing that I learned. It was the SRP guy that he said your water bottles will collapse. If
Yeah.
you have water
Yeah,
bottles
yeah.
that like in your car or something, the plastic will start to collapse. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with your water.
Okay, good. Okay, because it's constantly rotated, but I just always worry, like, you hear about the, like the PBA stuff
Yeah,
seeping into your
leaching
water.
into
and
your
Also,
you're gonna
the
die and-
heat's not a problem with water bottles. Like,
What?
if you've got water bottles in your trunk, I heard it causes cancer. Like, you can't.
Yeah, right?
Well, everything causes cancer.
Yeah, literally,
The sun
everything.
causes
Beam me up, Scott.
Ask, and every single thing
They
you
have
buy
to
says,
label it.
according to California standards, this causes cancer. Like only in California, but literally it's
They need to
everywhere.
go
Find
in.
Arizona.
You don't live in California.
I wouldn't in their
So,
drought right
sorry,
now.
Joy, I missed the rotation.
So, like, we buy pallets of water and we rotate them through
Oh,
all the
okay.
time, all year long. So we do have long-term, but we have like a lot. So my question was, well, am I killing my family by
No different
bringing
than my
those?
water.
Because we bring the collapsed water bottles inside, then they re-expand, and then kids just use those.
Right.
No different than my water sitting outside.
It's fine.
Okay.
It really is no different.
We just keep them in our garage.
So on the rotation thing and those side lying barrels, there is a way, like you can hook your hose
Yes.
to the first one and have hoses from
Yep,
each,
and they
and
go
then
back
every
forward
time
to
you
the
turn on your
bottom
hose,
one.
it rotates. I don't know how to do that. I just remember learning that a long time ago. But it might be
Same thing.
something worth finding out.
Same thing, the tank and barrel guide. So if you have the hose attachments, you can do your top one that drains into your bottom one. So you have the hose spigot on the bottom, so you're constantly just filling the bottom one. And then the top one's not always the
And then you don't
heaviest.
need bleach in there anyway because it's fresh all the time and it has
I
chlorinated
would
tap
still put
water
it in there. If you're using it regularly, it's fine. But if
Right.
you're not, then put an additive in there anyway, just so that it stays.
Yeah, but if you're
without
using it every time you
without
use your
growth.
hose, you wouldn't need to.
Yeah.
And our hose water's okay to drink.
Yes.
Well, if
I
you
drink
trust
out of the
city
hose right
water.
now.
I don't
Yeah,
even know.
Yes.
It's city water, so it may not
It
always
smells
be
like
safe.
dirt, just like it comes out of the tap. It's fine.
But
Lots
when,
of people don't
Get
drink
Rio
bottled
drops.
water. I know it seems
Yeah.
crazy.
but the
Rio
issue would
drops
be
make
is
people don't
make
drink bottled
everything
water.
if our
taste
city
better.
waters ever compromised, and at what point in a calamity would
Well,
it
and that's the
be
thing, but that's
unsafe?
where you would have to boil it or have some other kind of filtering process.
This pretty girl.
Oh, hi, Fancy.
Hi, Daddy.
You want to go play with Kaylin?
They're somewhere that way.
Dad just told me to find you stand right next to you and wait.
Okay, what's going on with your teeth?
I love her.
She's looking more and more like her dad.
He's got some serious stuff.
Uh-huh.
Use that as drinking water,
Uh-huh.
but still treat it.
Yeah. You do the same
Because
thing
that's
with
gonna
this as
kill
that.
whatever's in the hose water, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep. Now, if you're storing water bottles, your situation may be different. Typically, the best water bottles to buy are Aquafina or Dasani because their
And the
water
rest
bottles
are-
are thicker. So if you're just getting water bottles to put away and not touch, I would get those brands because they're a thicker plastic, so they're
That'll
gonna
store 'em
last.
outside.
Get
Because
those
if you store them
ones,
inside,
you're
would you
gonna
still
rotate
recommend
them
those?
in. And
Yeah.
then just the cheap ones if you're just gonna throw away.
Yes.
Yes.
That's okay.
They're thicker plastic.
Juice bottles are thick too, like apple juice.
Yep. It looks beautiful. See, that's the thing is it looks different for everybody. I mean, you can buy one of those, it is a vacuum sealer, but it's a, it's called something else. Anyways, it's commercial grade. Anything you buy at the grocery store that's been vacuum sealed, they use this machine. But you can get it in vacuum sealed water. I've had people do that. And they put the vacuum sealed bags of water in their 72-hour kits. We're cool, and we just have gallon jugs in a Rubbermaid.
Now, do you treat that like a heater system? Keep it in your garage. Would you treat that?
No?
Okay. Because I have a bunch of like.
Only because I'm lazy.
I take them camping. It's my dog's water, but
Yeah.
I never treated it. But I mean, we go often enough that it gets rotated every couple months.
Because it's rotated that often, I would say you're fine.
Okay.
Because
I'm like,
these
should I
sit
treat it?
outside.
Yeah.
Because these sit outside and they're susceptible to the elements, I would say treat what's outside.
Okay. Yeah, because I just fill them up. We keep them in the car in case, we need water in the car or, for the
Yep.
engine or whatever. And then the dogs. Okay, here's your camping water. Oh, we need to wash this. Here, wash your hands.
Yep. No, and that's the thing is,
We just keep it.
water storage, you've got to be resourceful, and it's different for every family. What works for me may not work for any of you. Well, that's all I've got. You guys are welcome to hang out, ask questions, do whatever, go home, pet my cow. My cows are cute. They're fun.
How many gallons does it take to flush a toilet?
3. I have 3-liter bottles in my garage, and we had a slab leak, so our water was off for 24 hours, and it was 3 of those 3-liter bottles. every time we flush the toilet.
Is it true you can stick a brick in your toilet to